lied to me. I was looking at this team and I was like, this dude's really killing it. I am one of the leading football manager YouTubers in the world. I make tutorials about the game for a living, and I'm going to try and save your saves again. You might be wondering why I'm dressed like a piece of bacon. And that's because the people that are able to submit their saves for Save Your Saves, which will forever be known as SYS, because we were initially going to do saving saves, but that acronym, not nearly as fun. But in order to submit your saves for SYS, you need to be a hammer, and hammers get a lot of bacon. It'll all make sense if you click the Twitch link down in the description, but if you're a subscriber to the Twitch channel, you can submit your saves to be saved through the Discord. Now, there's no guarantee, but over 50% of the saves that get submitted either get saved live on Twitch or get saved in one of these videos. So, and you get bacon next to your name. Who doesn't want like just a little crispy bacon, right? Who knows? One of those pieces of bacon might be me. Okay, oh, we're taking it off. Yeah. All right. So the way we've decided to format this series, since you guys liked it so much, is I'm going to line up 4 saves so that Reese does not have to take 35 minutes of footage and boil it down to whatever he managed to do last time, which was an incredible effort. Very much so. So first one is from our boy Twitch username Makel_. I'm really struggling with actually signing and developing players. Last season we made the Champions League final, however, about half of my team was loaned in. This season we have a few wonder kids, but I still have a lot of loanees in, and the wonder kids I do want don't think my club's reputation is high enough. So this is a problem that I think a lot of people run into. So let's get into this. It's now the 2 things that are going to determine how aggressive we can be from this position. As I would guess, you make the Champions League final, you've got more balance than you could ever conceivably spend. You're not even using half your payroll, which means if you sit here and transfer that into your like transfer budget, we're looking at 2 legit top tier Brazilian wonder kids with that amount of money. I mean, legit, like the world beaters. But that's what you're worried about. You don't think you can sign those guys yet because your club reputation is just 3.5 stars because you didn't actually manage to win the Champions League final. What happened in that, by the way? You didn't make the... You didn't lie to me. You lied to me. He's lying right there. We made the Champions League final. That's not. He got smeared in the Champions League semi after getting a pretty favorable draw against Wolfsburg and Atletico Madrid to get to the semifinal. You gave up 10 goals. I was looking at this team and I was like, this dude's really killing it. If he made it all the way to that, come on. You got lucky. You got to the Champions League semifinal. Now it's time to turn that luck into some cold, hard success. Like if Jack Frost saw a wonder kid. Nope. It's the worst joke I've ever made. Oh, Reese, I'm sorry. Anyways, the finances are good. Let's take a look at the scouting. All right, we've got South America West, North America, South Europe, Middle East, Central Europe. I'm assuming these are regional hot prospect scouts. Yeah, you've set a specific age and potential. You've set the potential at very good, which is solid. Okay. We have an oversight here. I don't see anybody in Eastern Europe. Why? Eastern Europe's better than Oceania. It's better than it's better than Southern Africa. I don't know why you're scouting all of Asia. You really just need to do East Asia. That's the only area that's going to reliably produce anything. You've got Caribbean going on with Jerry Williams, which I'm sure you were super excited to see, but that dude's never going to do anything for you. It's better than the Caribbean. It's better than Central America. It's probably better than the Middle East, Eastern Europe, and it's probably better than North America. So you're gonna want to scout Eastern Europe. That is the big oversight that I can see. Let's check. Do we have any short lists going on? Not a lot. You're not getting the right guys from over here. Like East is one thing, but South America West is low-key a gold mine. These guys in South America West, I mean, look at this guy. He's on Leeds, never mind. Look at the guys in Liga Postobon. That's in Colombia. That's where I was managing. Like, boom, here's an 18-year-old, Freddie Gill. Dude's got a lot of skill. He's a ball-moving midfielder. You're telling me that if you sign this guy from 2.5 to 5 million, you're not going to be able to sell him for a lot more. This is what I did at Bate. You get this guy, you bring him through when he's 22 years old. He's a pretty regular first-team player for you, has a lot of ability. He's not a regular starter for you, hopefully, at the development level your team is at, but 2.5 to 5 million, you can can turn this guy, look, if he's in top form, you could probably get 50 to 60 million for him. You're probably hoping, I wouldn't take any more less than 40. You just need to get him enough games to where he's in form. Obviously, you're hoping his development continues to explode, but these are the type of guys you're looking for right now, because those big Brazilian guys, Marcos Jr. or whatever his name is, they don't want you. I'm not trying to feed into your attachment anxiety. They don't want you. So you got to find the guys that do. And sometimes the guys that do are from Peru, Ecuador, I almost said Peru again, Colombia, those countries, the other countries in South America. Argentina can be very cheap sometimes. Brazil is pricey. It's a pricey place to go shopping. Those places aren't, but they reliably, as a collective in South America West, produce good players. Get them on your short list. North and West Africa are good for this, but they lack some of the top-end punch in Football Manager 20, and so far from what we've seen in Football Manager 21. Now, Eastern Europe's going to be a bit pricier, especially in a place like Ukraine or Russia, but a lot of those countries you're able to get people for pretty cheap. I'm thinking Croatia, I'm thinking Serbia. Those guys are coming under 10 million all the time and can be legitimately world-class. And of course, you've got Scandinavia buttoned down where you can get players like that too. Then you don't need to rely on loans, but while you're building out this team of 18 to 22-year-olds, because you do this for 3 or 4 years, you're going to have a baller team. You loan in the people that fill out the rest because you got the wage room. And you're making the Champions League group stage every time, you got the money. Now, I have to get to the next save or else my editing team is going to lampoon me, but yeah. Next, we move on to A Lupo, doing a journeyman save. I'm in my second team and I've been there for 5 years now, but I've feared I've screwed the club's finances in the long run. I have a lot of players on high salaries and no one wants to sign to another team unless I pay part of their salaries. Moreover, I got zero money on transfer budget and I can't sell any of my fringe players. I don't want to sell my good ones right now either because I'd like to sign a couple of them when I join another team. What should I do to turn the situation around? I want to leave the club in a good financial state, like I had a concrete impact in the club's future. All right, so we're Brighton in the Premier League in 2027. We're battling in European places, even though judging by the goal difference alone, still a clear step below the majority of the top 5. Arsenal, unsurprisingly, right in the mix at 8th. So here's something you need to understand about wages in the Premier League. They're going to be higher than they are anywhere else in the world for a player's level of talent. So something you have to get comfortable with is that you are not easily going to be able to unload players that are not desirable talent-wise. I'm talking players that if you move them to Ligue 1 or if you move them to Serie A and put them on one of the lower teams in the league and they still aren't like a serious impact player on that kind of team, you're going to struggle to move the player because the wages are prohibitively high. This is a hazard of managing in England at every freaking level. There's just a lot of money in it and a lot of inflated wages that go on. It's why, like, the work to get a work permit in Denmark, it's like, well, he has to have good potential or make $10,000 a year, and they do the same thing in the Republic of Ireland. But when you're dealing with the English league system, you not only are the work permits excessively complicated, which that's not getting any easier anytime soon, they're also just the wages are inflated. And so this is not an unusual thing to be dealing with. It's something that you almost have to get comfortable with. It's why you got to be really pesky with bonuses and really pesky with other ways to kind of suppress the wage. Here's the other little bit. Your original transfer budget was $58 million. So I'm feeling like you're okay. I mean, your club is considered rich. It's in a good financial standing. The projections might be on their way down a little bit, but you're in the Premier League and any extra European money would boost that, including one player sale, which of course you don't want to do, but come on. So if you have a desirable player, which let's take a look, like Ricardo Eusebio, this is a desired player. We can offer this guy out. Put this on unspecified, drop selling team salary contribution, remove and exclude, and then just offer him out. Oh, he's a star player. This dude is buns. He is ass salad. He ain't good, homie. No dice. Kind of out of ways to say that, but he's not good now at a Premier League European competing level, and it's probably wasn't when you signed the contract, right, the case, but get him off of the books. Then move this over because all of a sudden you freed up a little bit of this is significant impact on your wage budget for the season. He's got to not be the only person. You've got to deal Jota for 61 million. You know how much that is? I deal in currency called Brazilian Wonder Kids. That's 3 of them right there. And unlike the first save, you're able to actually sign them, right? So Sell him. Buy 3 of those guys. You want to lead the team in a good situation? But if you're trying to save your next team, what's the point of succeeding with this one? Don't you want to succeed here and now with this club? I can never think ahead to the next team like, oh, I want to bring these guys over there later. Maybe that's just me. And it's interesting, Lupo, to see the way other people play the game. If we're talking about making this team better right now, you've got a $61 million offer on the table from Atletico Madrid. We're not even close to the end of the transfer window. I'm rejecting it. I'm offering him out for $70 million. Or I walk. Bunch of transfer offers. No selling team salary contribution. Easy. It's not just even Jota. Like, you have all of these different players that there are teams with money, Leicester, Roma, Lazio, interested in these guys. This is the guy you don't want to sell, but Guangzhou, Newcastle, they have money. Be interested when somebody looks at you like this, especially when it's a player like this. You can't win the Champions League with this guy. He's not good enough, but there are teams with a lot of money that want to buy him. Sell this guy. You need to be more decisive with the decisions you make about the players, because I get the feeling that you're hanging on to a guy like Stefan Merkela like, I don't really want to let him go. He's 22. He's in the Serbian national team. He's looking really good. You look at this guy and go, can I win the Champions League with this guy? No, his passing isn't good enough. His goal scoring isn't good enough. His first touch is pretty low, right? It doesn't look like he has too much potential left to achieve. He's not as much of an explosive athlete as he would need to be to make all of this irrelevant in a world-class sense. And Guangzhou's interested in him. That's China. You're in an interesting situation, some of it your own making and the different restraints you put on yourself, but all the best. Let me know. Lupo's around the stream all the time. I know Lupo. Up next, we've got a tactic one from Sock Her Manager. Started the season great. Now in terrible run of form. I basically started from scratch on tactics, trying to figure out why my team is suddenly trash. I get a lot of messages like this. I get a lot of comments in Twitch like this. Starting your tactics over from scratch is kind of honestly the right idea when you end up in that kind of run of form. Let's look at how bad. Oh. What happened? The entire team break their leg at the same time. You started the season, you won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of your first 9 games, and now you've won 1 of like your last 12. That's the worst turn in form I may have ever seen. And here's what I usually do to try and figure out what's going wrong in a run of form like this. Are you not scoring a lot of goals, or are you conceding a lot of goals? Unfortunately, in this instance, it does look like the issue is on both sides. I see an average of nearly 2 goals allowed per game, an average, I would say, of just about 1 goal per game throughout this stretch in the league. A little bit over 1 goal per game, which I guess it's better than the defense. And somehow in the league, you are in 7th, when your projected finish was 8th, which means the board, I guess, is not too displeased at the moment. Here is what you need to do, and the fact that it hasn't been abused enough already is a problem. I want to ensure our heads don't drop, you know, boom. And the way that they responded to this shows me that you hadn't done this before. This is the #1 golden bullet weapon of turning around a poor run of form. It's exactly what we were after, and all of a sudden, you're going to see an even larger uptick in the atmosphere of the club. Now let's go look at the tactics screen. Would you look at that? It's a subscribe button. A lot of you that watch these videos don't actually hit it. No skin off your back, and it helps me pay the editor just in case you happen to watch another video or 25. So do it. Thank you. So having a look at this tactic that you are using to pull yourself out of this hole, I see 3 problems that I have. 1, you're over defending. That is completely understandable considering how bad your defense is, but you're over defending in the wrong places. Now, a wingback on defend can actually be much worse defensively than a fullback on defend. Well, a fullback or wingback on support is what I meant to say, because a wingback on defend and a fullback on defend have a personal instruction of hold position, which means you can leave wingers wide open to do whatever they want to do until they start to run forward and engage, which means if they're cutting in, they can overwhelm your center backs, which is particularly effective when you have a regista, which is really the most aggressive role you could possibly have on a defensive midfielder, and you have it next to a roaming playmaker who's also a hyper aggressive, running all over the place type of dude who takes more risks and roams from position. The regista, well, takes more risks and roams from position. Seeing the point that I'm making? This dude needs to be here. He needs to chill. And if Nygaard, who is not somebody who's very athletic, you're trying to make into somebody who's very athletic, is running all over Kingdom Come, that's not helping anybody. Having him hold position in a spot that makes him annoying while still being able to use that passing that is good for the Oberliga, then do it. Roaming playmakers are normally the bane of my existence, but if Jose Aldo is retired from the UFC long enough to be able to be effective in this position, then more power to you. And he does look like a good player at this level with athleticism, ability to run around. He's got some goals in him, so it could not be a bad thing. So this would be my second issue. Maybe just fullbacks on support. They're doing nothing in particular. They're not even getting further forward, but they're not holding their position either. They're able to go out and greet people, only turn it off when you're getting destroyed by overlaps. But sometimes you want the overlap to happen, because who would you rather have crossing it? Some semi-professional fullback or a semi-professional winger? My guess is the fullback can't or won't. You also, you're not very aggressive. And when you're not aggressive, then you become passive. The old adage that the best defense is a good offense is true, because you can force the other team to be on their heels. I've seen the talent level of your team compared to the rest of the league. You're pretty good. You won 8 of your first 9 games. Let's get aggressive. You have definitely under-instructed as well. Now, I am always a less is more person when it comes to instructions. And especially in a semi-pro setting like this, in a lower league, it makes sense. The instructions are not going to be adhered to nearly as much. But this is simply too little. We need to try and close down more. We need to move the lines, whether they need to be higher with an offside trap or whether they need to be higher here or need to be lower here. There are so many opportunities you could be taking advantage of that you're not. And especially in lower leagues, closing down aggressively, nobody has good first touch on the other team. No one. You should always be closing down aggressively, maybe even tackling harder. Put pressure on the other team, because when does it burn you? When the other team's technically skilled. They're not. They're never going to be. You're in the Oberliga. Much shorter passing's not making life any easier because, again, we're in the lower league. And the last one is actually Oriental Dragon from my boy Matt Robb. I feel like I'm doing something wrong. The club is always losing money, even though I am in the wage budget. I've only ever purchased 1 player, and the rest have been free transfers. So this is a financial question. And the first thing you always have to do is look at your projection. So while you're losing money, you're not losing money fast. And for the club itself, you have taken a little while, you got revved up, you got boom promoted, boom promoted, boom promoted, top of the league. So your team is buzzing. Well, guess what? Your financial outlook is fine. It is fine. It's hard to get comfortable with, especially if you don't do a save like this where you need to continuously get promoted, right? And Portugal's top league is not good at distributing money. If we look at the rules page, there is no money allotment that goes with the places. But what you haven't done is survived a season in the top flight, and those projections are not favorable to you because of your triple promotion. You were supposed to finish last. You're 900 to 1. It's like the entire odds making industry has corrected itself after the Leicester debacle. But you're supposed to go down. You're not going to go down. You're dramatically overperforming in a league where everybody, and I mean basically everybody's got a lot more money than you. If you look at salary per year, you are spending half of all but 3 teams in the league. And of course, there are 3, 4, 5, 6 teams that are spending at least 5 times what you are on wage. This is not a workable, winnable situation right now. What you need to be doing is getting those free loans and continuing to sign free transfers, stabilizing your team here, staying within the wage budget, going above it if you feel like you can dramatically improve the team with another free signing, because the longer you stay in the top flight, the more stable your financial position is going to become. Because if you see, everybody that's in the top flight is at least okay, which means even outside of the fact that there's no bonus money in the actual competition in the top league, Liga NOS in Portugal, there is a lot of money to be garnered by having the reputation and staying in that tier. Not to mention, the longer you stay there, the higher your reputation. Portugal's got one of the best youth ratings in the game, so your youth intake might hand you a gem or 2 that you'll be able to sell later down the line. The longer you stay in the top flight, get your scouts and start scouting the world like we talked about earlier in this video. You stay in this league for a year or 2, happen to buy one of those wonder kids for 800,000 from Peru, sell them for 50 million, and these money problems are a long way gone. Until then, free loans to help raise your team a little bit more. Make sure you stay in the top flight and you'll be fine. Okay. I'm still kind of in stream mode because I also, of course, do this on my Twitch streams, but we do it in a much more long form way where we're talking to the Twitch chat about what should be done as well. And these few were picked from that list that submitted their saves for the Twitch stream. So hopefully I'll see you on stream, and I'm looking forward to the next S.